There was a young 12-year-old girl who had been moved by her mom, who left an abusive marriage to marry somebody else. So this young girl had a stepfather by the age of 12. The mom having left her biological father because of the way he treated the pair of them and got a better man in a better marriage. The stepdad was overly loving and supported the mom to raise her, paid her school fees, took care of all her basic needs, and actually demonstrated love to her. Their relationship as daughter and stepdad blossomed until the age of 19. And she says that she developed affection for the stepdad based on the treatment that he had given to her and the mom compared to what they got from her biological father. And because the stepdad was very nice to her, treated her kindly, always bought her gifts, made sure she did well with school by helping with homework, yada, 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 she started thinking that every woman deserved a man like this in marriage, and she started desiring her mother's husband, being the stepdad. And so one day when the mom wasn't home, she went and sat next to the dad, stepdad that is, and started touching him in a provocative manner. The man wasn't able to control himself, and they started sleeping together. After that time, a relationship ensued between the two of them. And whenever the mom wasn't home, the two of them were at it. To the point where this young girl, now 19, got pregnant. Now, the mom found out that her daughter was pregnant and wanted to know who was responsible. She mounted so much pressure, the girl refused to say who it was, and ultimately, the stepdad, fearing that she was going to be put under so much pressure by the mom and might end up disclosing his identity as the father of the child, moved her from wherever they lived to a bigger city in a different part of the country and rented an apartment for her. She went ahead to deliver this child. This man kept coming back. They kept their relationship and had two other children. So the stepdaughter had 3 children for him. Unfortunately, the wife, the mother of this young woman, was unable to have any children for him. And she, the girl, was the only child that the mom had. So the stepdad didn't have any children, didn't come into the marriage with any children either. So he did not have any children. And the woman he had chosen to marry, being the girl's mom, could not give him children either. So he wanted to have children. And he chose to have these children with his own stepdaughter. Now, 8-9 long years later, this young girl now has 3 children with her stepdad, and the stepdad has now had a sudden awakening to realize that what he has done with her isn't right and wants to leave the young girl and go back and be faithful to his wife, being the young girl's mom. The young girl now feels dejected and betrayed because, according to her, the stepdad had promised her that they were going to be together forever and they were going to keep their relationship a secret forever. Her children know who their dad is, being the stepdad. She has cut all ties with her mom ever since she left home with her first pregnancy. So the mom has never come to look for her, or she tried but she didn't know where to look and just gave up. And she only finds out about how her mom is through the stepdad. Now, after 9 long years, she wants to go back, reconcile with her mom, and tell her mom the truth about what has happened. Now, this story is a story that I found online. It's been trending on social media for a while now. It's got quite a good traction and a lot of comments. And I always love stories, not because I just like to talk about people, but as you guys know, to draw valuable lessons is why I talk about these stories. So that somebody might not repeat the same things and learn the lessons that need to be learned out of all of these things. All the comments that I saw, there were thousands of them. I couldn't have gone through all of them, but majority of the comments that I saw were bashing, calling her names, curses, all sorts of things, like the typical reactions that you would expect from the general public for something like this. All the empathy going for her mom. But I always want to dig deeper into the root causes of problems and not just do the bashing. The bashing has its place. She was 19 years of age, so she wasn't a child. She was a young adult that is expected to have known better than to do what she did. Now, I want to dig deeper and go back into time and say that sometimes when I talk about how dreadful it is for parents, especially fathers, when they have daughters, to not show love to their children, people don't understand what I'm saying. But every child needs to feel the love, compassion, affection, the care, the fact that he or she is wanted by both parents. It's why God gave you the children. It's so that you can love and care for them and raise them to be responsible adults. Every child needs to have both parents in an ideal situation to be able to have a balanced view in life. I am a girl, extremely close to my dad. Like, I love that man to bits. He cannot do no wrong in my eyes. I just love him. And the reason why I love him is because from the day that I was born till my age of 14, 4 decades later and some, this man has shown me love that is beyond human imagination and comprehension. He will be there for me in the good times and the bad times. Sometimes he says nothing. He knows when to listen. He knows when to advise. Like, he just always has the right things to do and say at the right time. In the dumps, when I was ill and hospitalized multiple times, this guy will come and sit and spend the night in a chair just watching over me. Like, I can't begin to tell you, but we're not here to talk about me. The essence of what is being said here is the importance of love and affection from a father to a daughter. Absolutely crucial. That is what dictates what the child becomes, how the child is able to know how to relate with other men in the future. You see, because the foundations were wrong, from her biological dad, measuring out all kinds of horrible experiences to her, when she finally found a role model that was showing her affection, she took that to mean that that is the sort of relationship that only people that are intimate can have, that only wives are able to experience the love of a man, of a father for that matter. Something broke in this young girl's mind that needs fixing, which will make somebody think that it is okay to have that kind of promiscuous, intimate sexual relationship with somebody that is supposed to be your dad. and whatever it is that broke inside that woman, until that thing is fixed, will continue to experience issues with knowing how to set healthy boundaries and have healthy relationships with men, period. Now, the girl had said that um, that encounter at the age of 19 intimately was not the first time. She had had a boyfriend in the past, and she had been intimately involved with that person the one time. So this experience with the stepdad at the age of 19 had been her second experience. But the thing that drove her to it was seeing how affectionate this man was towards her mom in comparison to what she had seen from her dad, who was her biological father from the very beginning until they came to live with this man. Now, all the bashing has all been to the girl, she's evil, she's that, she's that, she's that. And this is very typical behavior of what I tend to see in our community. If there's anything to do with promiscuity, to do with somebody sleeping with somebody, somebody's friends doing something, the bashing is always meted at the woman or the women involved. But my question is, at 19, as I said, she was old enough to be able to discern right from wrong. But this is a broken woman who has misconstrued what love between a father and a daughter should be. And even in my mind, I'm thinking that perhaps, and I don't know this, I am just imagining that perhaps there was some sexual abuse between her and her biological dad. Is why she cannot discern, and her brain and everything in there is not screwed right. It's why she's thinking that it is okay for children to have those kinds of relationships with fathers or father figures, right? Now, this man, if he's able to be old enough to marry her mom, means that he wasn't a young man. Assuming he was even younger than this young lady's mom, which is very uncommon in our community. Anyway, the age gap in difference, assuming the guy was younger, would not be so much that it would make it okay for this girl to be, for the woman, the mother, to be married to the guy. Which means that this man is an adult in his own right. He should have the ability to discern right from wrong and know what to do. Yet he took advantage of the situation. This is not a mistake. This is an intention, a coldly calculated thing that the two of them were involved in. And to me, I expect the man to know better. If this young lady says that, oh, they slept together, and then after that one time she got pregnant and then she had a child, it's still wrong. It's still wrong. Wrong is wrong. But to go on from there, rent her an apartment, take her to that place, pretend you don't know where this child is, and keep going back to that place to have two more children with this woman means that it is the intention. This stops being a mistake, and it is something that is coldly calculated. And so to me, whilst all this bashing is going on about what the girl did, about how she didn't do, what about the man? What did he do? What about him? We human beings are given the brain, this thing here, to be able to use that. And that is what differentiates between we humans and animals. And so if we refuse to engage this organ that has been placed inside of our bodies to use to be able to discern right from wrong and do what is right and be able to choose what is right, then it means that we're basically saying that We are animals that don't have any control and need to be forced into doing things. My dad always used to tell me that, and he still does till today, that as a human being, we all have a moral compass that should run our lives and help us to discern what is right from what is wrong. If this man was incapable of discerning that sleeping with his wife's daughter, his stepdaughter, somebody he's supposed to be in a fatherly position to, and goes to cross that boundary to do that with her and have 3 whole children, he is sick. It is absolutely inconceivable that this man that I call my dad, that I love to bits, that I would ever insinuate or do anything that is of an intimate suggestion with him. Why? Those boundaries are unspoken boundaries. He doesn't even have to tell me, because he's taught me how to discern what is right from what is wrong. I will see my dad, I would hug my dad, I will sit and talk to him, I will put my head on his shoulder, on his chest, and talk to him. But that is how far our relationship goes. Every other business is what he would do with his wife in their matrimonial bed. That's got nothing to do with me. And so if this man is incapable of discerning, then he should also be bashed even worse than she should, in my mind, because as a human being, as a man, in our community, we always treat men as if they are incapable of engaging their brain. When they see a woman or a woman touches some part of them that is sensitive, all of a sudden their brain melts into water. And it's not something that is able to be functional anymore. And we accuse women forever and a day for everything. If a man is incapable of standing and surviving on his own, as I've always said this, there will be Siamese people. Like, God will connect men to something or somebody else to do the thinking for them. But they are able to stand on their own 2 feet with 2 hands, 2 legs, 10 toes, 10 fingers, and a brain, because they should have the ability, and it's been imprinted and put inside of them, to be able to discern what is right from what is wrong. If there are men like my father who have taught daughters like me to discern what is right from what is wrong and set healthy boundaries, it means that it is possible for men to behave themselves and do what is right. If they choose not to, it's a choice, then I'm sorry. We should stop breeding and encouraging with our attitudes and the way that we do things, and allow people, especially men in our community for once, to stand up and be accountable and responsible for the consequences of their actions. What this girl did is absolutely abominable to her mom. But what about the man who is married to her, professed to love, protect, and be with her till death do them part? What about him? I'm sick and tired of this narrative of always blaming women. It's the woman's fault. It's the woman. What about him? What about him? Not one child, though. Not from one escapade. This is 3 human beings that have been born. Now, the question is, why is the guy now wanting to be faithful to his wife? Why has it taken 9 years and 3 children later for him to come back to his senses? Another good question. To me, I have told you guys all the time that in this life, we are governed by rules and systems on the surface of this planet. There has to be balance. It's why nobody must ever think in their wildest dreams that you can do certain things and get away with them, because you can't. There's this balance, this equilibrium that must happen. People can't commit atrocities and evil and still continue to live and thrive, for everything to be successful for these people forever. It doesn't happen like that. The reason why this older man is now wanting to be faithful to his wife. Apparently, according to the girl, he had been to a pastor and the pastor had told him that he has to be faithful to his wife. That pastor, assuming there was a pastor, did that pastor also see that this man has slept with his own stepdaughter and had 3 children with her? Was he able to see that one too? That is one. Secondly, the only reason why this man probably went to go and get intervention spiritually, because his life is going down the drain. He is incapable of sleeping at night, knowing all the evil that he has committed and the blunder and what he has done to his wife. This is just so bad. Like, I listened to this thing yesterday and I've spent the last 24 hours just thinking about the whole scenario. Now, everybody is asking the question, because what the young girl wants to know and why she's telling her story now is that she wants to reconcile with her mom. Is this even possible? What if she tells the mom and the mom, out of stroke and shock, drops and is no longer with us? Can she live with herself? This young lady is now shedding tears because she now knows that this guy is threatening to leave and might very well do that. And now she's going to be left in the cold, in the dark, by herself. How is she going to cope with her 3 children, cut off from the only person that could have looked out for her more than anybody in this life? Why didn't she tell her mom when she got pregnant with the first child, but was happy enough to move to a different location and cut the mom off? Can you imagine what a mom of an only child will be going through for 9 whole years, not knowing where this human being, this one precious life that had been given to you, what her whereabouts are, whether she's in good health, whether she is fine or not? Can you imagine that? And for this same person that you love more than sense to be the same person that betrays you to this level, what do you do? So many things were said, suggestions that this young lady seek help from a therapist that can help, and they look for spiritual people that can help her to break the news slowly to the mother, blah, 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 blah. But the fact of the matter is that what the young girl was asking for was to be able to do this in a manner that doesn't hurt anybody. Now she doesn't want to hurt anybody, but she'd forgotten that all those actions of hers from the age of 19 till now were all things that were going to hurt somebody. The only reason why she's upset is because the guy broke his promise and is now wanting to leave. To me, it's like, has this guy even done this kind of thing before? Has he been married in his past and meted out the same sort of thing in his past life prior to now? Like, let us stop apportioning blame. The young lady said, oh, I was the one that provoked him. I dressed up provocatively and I touched him in places that made him unable to resist, and I was irresistible, and that's why and this is the narrative that I continue to talk about. If I ever even dreamt about holding or touching any man in my life that I hold in such high esteem, a slap is what I would get. Yes, I would be disciplined to get my head screwed on back right. And that is what I expected from a stepdad. If you can do this to your stepchild, to me, you can do it to your own child, because there's no difference. There is absolutely no difference. Does that mean that all people that can't have children, that go and adopt other people's children, should do this to their children because they're not biologically linked to them? To me, the boundary is the boundary, child and father or parent. And if you're able to break that, then you're sick. You know, I've always said that there's a lot of cycles in our community, and I'm not saying this to be defamatory or insulting to anybody. Mental health is real. Not having good mental health is a real thing. I have personally been through depression, not once, not twice in my life, so I know that mental health is a real thing. There's a thin line between sanity and insanity, and it is only when we as a community, as Africans, are going to sit up and accept the fact that just like your tummy hurts, your eyes hurt, your belly hurts, that your mind and some screws can go loose in the mind that will make you do things that are, or commit blunders and atrocities that should never, ever be committed. Think about this and just recognize from these stories that they're not just things that people say. These are situations, real life situations that can happen to anybody. Watch out for the small signs from every and any males that are around your children. Don't take anything for granted and just think, oh, that was just a joke. That was just a slap on the bum. Look beyond the wall to see what is there, and make sure that the healthy boundaries are always in place. It is young children that have been subjected to things and exposed to things that they should have never been exposed to as children that go on to do these things that we now sit up and bash people for, forgetting that it is people who are not well that do things like this. I have spoken to many victims of rape, women, even men, and they will tell you that that time when that first episode happened, when somebody broke that thing inside of them and took what should have never been taken, something switches, something changes inside of you. Some people go on a rampage and want to get their pound of flesh back. And a lot of people who don't understand because it didn't happen to them will say, but it was just one encounter. So what does it mean? But to those that it has happened to, it is a real thing. It is a real thing. A woman, a man must have the ability to decide who it is that they want to have that experience with. If it is forced upon you, if that decision is forced upon you where you did not have a say in how it goes, it breaks somebody. It takes something off of you for the rest of your life. I hope that I've spoken to somebody today. So let's stop bashing the girl. We've bashed her enough. But let us dig down to the root causes of the issue. And my question to you, what should this girl do? And if you were this young girl's mom, how would you feel? What would you do? I wouldn't even want to know. But this guy has done the unthinkable. He should have never married this woman if he knew that having children was such a big thing for him. It's so sad. It's so sad. But I want you to think about these things that I've said. And I'll be interested to see the comments that you guys have on this whole issue. My name is Sika. I am running this course about relationships and marriages and why our marriages are not working in the 21st century. I will put the link above this video. Please, please, please sign up. It's the 21st of January at 6 in the morning, my time, and 1 p.m. GMT, 8 a.m. Eastern time. I love you. Bye-bye.